This is Golden Doves, class 159. Welcome to Talat Andalus. For those of you new to the channel, you know that in this YouTube channel, we're not looking for quick inspirational tidbits. This is really a difficult topic which requires some serious thinking. So just want to put it out there because I don't want to misrepresent and make you waste your time listening to something that at the end would be irrelevant. So we're again page 89, top of the page, Halacha and Haggadah. We were discussing the distinction between Halacha and Haggadah. We already explained that, but we're going to explain it more. So here it goes. Rabbinic literature distinguishes between Halacha and Haggadah. Those are two textual concepts, and namely Halacha is a fixed text that has a very specific order to the words, like any book that we have in English, where you write a book and the words are ordered in a specific way. Haggadah is where there's an idea, a concept, and it doesn't matter what the order of the words or what words you choose to express the concept. What's important is the concept, right? Traditionally, this distinction is conceived of in terms of content alone. So normally when people speak of Halacha and Haggadah versus Haggadah, they speak about Halacha being law, Haggadah being stories. Halacha designates legal material, whereas Haggadah designates narrative, legendary, exegetical, and all other non-legal elements. So anytime you have like derashot on the Pesukim and stories and stuff like that, that's referred to as Haggadah as opposed to law. In most cases, in the conventional thinking. But by the way, I want to say that it's remarkable. My father wrote this book, I think 1978 or whatever it was. Or no, actually, I was off on that. I think in the 1980s. And nevertheless, this book was around for decades. 1986. Okay, my apologies. I was off by a decade. So this book was published in 1986. I think it's just amazing that the Hachamim, the standard rabbis today, don't understand such a fundamental concept as a distinction between Halacha and Haggadah. I have to say, it's even a little embarrassing, because it's like, this is fundamental, it's like, I'm a physicist, but I don't understand the idea of, the second law of thermodynamics. I don't understand the idea of entropy. I don't understand notions of classical physics, right? Such as that energy never disappears and matter never disappears. It's just as a transformation of matter to energy, energy to matter, different forms of energy, kinetic energy, and so on, or potential energy. I don't understand these simple concepts. It's like, so, again, I'm not trying to be critical, but it is a little embarrassing that this book has been around. What was it, 1986? And like the concepts in the books, which are fundamental concepts, are still foreign to most rabbis. So make of that what you want to make of it. I have my own opinions, but you're welcome to have your opinions and reach your conclusions as well. Burut. Okay, so in most cases, Halacha and Haggadah do in fact contain legal and non-legal material. So it's true that Halacha usually contains legal material, Haggadah usually contains non-legal material. There are cases in which Halacha has nothing to do with legal material. But sometimes you have the word Halacha in the context that is completely devoid of legal content. Consider, for instance, a statement here with Parashat Toledot, Halacha Esav Sunei Yaakov. What does that have to do with Jewish law? That Esav, it is the Halacha that Esav hates Jacob. How? What does that have to do with legal? Nothing. The expression, he overlooked the Halacha, is used in connection with the flood covering Mount Gerizim. There was a discussion there in Midrash Rabbah regarding Chamesh Esrei Amma Milmala, how the mountains were covered. And then there's some discussion regarding Har Gerizim, and it says that Halacha Ne'ilama Mimenu, he overlooked the Halacha. And it has nothing to do with the Halacha. Similarly, it had to do with agadic material, meaning the content was agadic in nature, right? Not legal. Similarly, the notion that sexual indulgence increases concupiscence, whereas restriction helps control lust, right? So if a person is overindulgent in something, such as being a pervert, that would actually increase his yetzer hara, right? And whereas if you are more circumspect and you show self-control actually helps you have more self-control, right? Right. So those are designated as halakha. What does it have to do with halakha? That's not halakha. That's a moral, ethical teaching. It's not a legal teaching, right? Also, the instructions concerning the magical creation of living things are designated as halacha. So, how were how were things created? How were living things created? So there's a halacha. Again, nothing to do with law. So again, I'm like a little puzzled how the rabbis today, this book has been around for 4 decades, almost 4 decades, a little into 4 decades, but close to 4 decades. And they still don't understand the answer to the question, what is halacha, what is haggadah? How can that be? Again, if a physicist is unaware of the second law of thermodynamics, how can he be called a physicist? If a biologist is unaware of how the DNA replicates within the cell, how can he be called a biologist? It's ludicrous. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting divergent, but I feel very strongly and passionate about the fact that my father's writings have been around for decades, and they don't know them. It's like, it's right here. It's like black on white. Okay, Conversely, the derashot exegesis homilies are explicitly dissociated from Haggadah. Now, you have, for example, Midrash Halacha of Sifra, Midrash Halacha of Sifra. Those are Midrashim. That's exegetical, but it's referred to as Halacha. Why? Not everything there is Halacha. There's many Aggadic, legendary discussions in the Sifra and the Mechilta, right? A lot of the content is what would they call Aggadic in nature. On the other hand, one finds that the Noahide laws were contained in Sifra de Agata, a book of Agadot. So why do you have Sheva Misopin in a book of Agadot? It should be in the book of Halachot. So again, the distinction, Halacha being legal material, Agadah being legendary, ethical material, it just doesn't hold water. Halacha and Agadah pertain to 2 distinct modes of oral transmission. And that's a simple answer. It has to do with the mode of transmitting the content. A statement, explanation, or story could be transmitted either verbally or conceptually. I want to teach you something. I can teach you the concept, and as long as you understand the concept, I'm not so interested in the specific words that you use to convey that concept. Or I can teach you just a string of words and they understand, say these words, repeat these words, know these words, and then I explain to you what the words mean. Those words obviously contain a concept, but it's important for me. I was very precise in the way I set forth these words in writing. So when intelligent people write books, especially let's say on scientific matters, they choose very precisely the words they want to use because they want to make sure that the concept is clear, right? In the first case, the transmission is handed down verbatim, as in halacha, repeating the exact words in the precise order in which they were originally received. In the second case, Agadah, the principal objective is to communicate the idea. Therefore, handing down the precise wording of the original statement is not required. So when you say halacha, Esav sonet Yaakov, you mean, remember this, Esav sonet Yaakov. There's nothing more precise than that statement. I mean it literally. It is very clear what it means, right? There's nothing to add, there's nothing to subtract. So the person who transmitted that message understood what he was transmitting. The transmitter could hand down the tradition using his own words. So the same thing in the Sheva Misopin Enov, which are brought in the Sifra de Agata, one can transmit it as he wishes to transmit it. It's forbidden to murder, lo tirsach, asur laharog et hanefesh, right? I'm just giving you different ways of saying it. It will be seen that halacha designates the first type of tradition and Haggadah the second. First type being precise order of words, second type being conceptual as opposed to verbal. Cicero, too interesting. Cicero was a Roman jurist expert, or one of the great Roman. I think he compiled much of the Roman law, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Cicero too distinguishes 2 classes of memory. Memoria rerum, memory of things, which is concepts, and memoria verborum, memory of words. So interesting, you see this idea. There's a split between the concepts on the one hand and the words on the other, right? This distinction corresponds more or less to our distinction in halacha and agadah. It's not exactly the same distinction, but it's similar. Francis A. Yates defines rerum and verborum as follows. Things are thus the subject matter of the speech. Words are the language in which the subject matter is closed. That's very nice, and we will stop here for now.